Phew. With the wind. Yeah. Go!
Do more.
Right. Rain outlines your... Go, Barbara, go!
One with nature.
That's over! Phew. Go! No, my sword! Witness the power!
Into the wind. Fallen leaves. Adorn my...
Let's dance. Time to act.
The wind knows me.
Let me weave you a verse. Time to go. Phew. Rain outlines your fate.
Time to go. Into the wind.
Go!
One with nature. Time to go. Time to go.
Hand it out.
Time to go. Time to go. Time to go. Time to go.
Thank you for...
Time to go.
I was trying to remember. What else did we put on our shopping list? Oh, what a mouth-watering smell. Paimon would know the aroma of biryani anywhere. Let's go get... we can still add it to the list.
Well, if it isn't the Traveler and Paimon. Wasn't expecting to see you.
Hello there. Oh, it's been quite a while.
Huh, so you two are still hanging out together. Dia, didn't you say last time that you were gonna head back to the desert?
I said I was going to resign from being her bodyguard, not that our friendship was over. We're still the best of friends. The Homayanis also still post jobs from time to time. Their pay is always generous, so me and the other mercs never pass them up.
I told Dia to just stay at our place when she took one of those jobs a few days ago. My parents were delighted. They even said that it always felt like we were missing someone whenever Dia wasn't around.
That sounds like something they would say, all right. They're always so welcoming. Anyway, the job is already taken care of, so I was gonna head back to the brigade as soon as I finished a little shopping. But the master kept insisting, and I ended up staying for it.
You can stay for as many days as you want, Dia. Father hasn't even gotten around to treating you to his best dishes yet.
You know I'm not the kind of person to stay put in one place like that, my lady. Don't worry, though. There'll always be next time.
What? She said they'll treat you to the best dishes! Paimon can't believe you can still refuse that!
But wait. Didn't you say last time that you would take me on a trip to the desert? Why don't you just take... There are so many places I still haven't visited yet.
I'm sorry, my lady, but no can do. There's still a few things I need to take care of back at the brigade. Besides, the desert hasn't exact...
Oh, come on. Not this again.
I know, I'm sorry. Just give me some more time.
All right, fine. To be perfectly honest, it's not that I wanted to go, it's more like ever since you first set foot on the estate a few days ago, you've been... Have you been delaying our trip because you've run into some kind of...
Nah, are you kidding?
Would you swear on that? Friends shouldn't lie to each other, you know. But if something really is...
Oh, looks like Dunyarzad was onto something.
You're too perceptive, my lady. I just thought that nothing good could come out of telling you about the messy happenings of mercenaries. Knowing too much only leads to more trouble. Mercenary life is a dog-eat-dog world where Mora reigns supreme. Everything operates on a completely different...
That doesn't change anything about what I just said, though. We're still friends, and I can...
My lady... You're not gonna... All right, I'll share what I know. Let's go somewhere else first. Okay, let's talk here. Just try not to draw any extra attention. As you may already know, the Eremites have both a lot of mercenaries and a complex organizational structure. Many mercs are no different than me, just going around looking for jobs to earn... My brigade is called the Blazing Beasts. We're not a large group, but every member is loyal and brave. However, not all Eremite brigades are like mine. Some are willing to cross all kinds of lines for the sake of Mora. The most notorious is a faction known as Deshret's Relics.
Deshret's Relics? Judging from the name, they must really look up to...
Yep, you got it. I've heard that you've already crossed paths with Ain al-Akmar. They're one of the groups under the Relic's banner.
Oh, you mean the group that tried to sell us the Divine Knowledge Capsule? Yeah, they weren't friendly at all.
Deshret's Relics is composed of many smaller brigades like Ain al-Akmar. The Relic's headquarters issues orders to all brigades under his control. On any other day, I would want nothing to do with them. Unfortunately, though, the brigade that's stirring up trouble now is none other than Dakan al-Akmar.
Dakan?
I think it means beard or something. Believe me, it's a really stupid name. Anyway, the real issue is that Dakan al-Akmar is led by my father, Kusela.
Say what now?
I think I'm starting to understand your anxiety now. But what did they do?
I won't go into details, my lady, but they've been involved in a lot of violent incidents. We're talking hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yep. The scenes tend to be quite gruesome, too. They strip the victims of all their valuables before murdering them. Not only have they targeted merchant caravans and ordinary citizens, but other mercenary brigades as well.
That's beyond terrible. They won't even spare their own kind.
I don't know how Deshret's relic sees it. All I do know is that Dakan al-Akmar has become more and more aggressive over the last few years. If I don't do something about them, then even my brigade or the people of Aru village could become their next target. I just wish I knew.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's setting the bar pretty low.
I mean, if he was even remotely decent, then why would I? He was loud and foolish, with no real sense of purpose. Instead of doing anything useful, he spent most of his time drinking and chasing after women. Of course, the other brigade members were just like him. Their ruckus would go on night after.
Sounds like a nightmare.
What about your mother? Did she ever step in to stop them?
Unfortunately, I never knew my mother. It's all right, my lady. That's pretty common in mercenary circles. Didn't I mention that my father was chasing after women? I was the result of one of those encounters with some random person. He told me that he wasn't sure who my mother was. And in any case, she never came to see me. He'd say, "You'll be fine as long as you remember to stick with Dad." But even then, he left most of the parenting to the brigade. But the problem was that he had terrible taste. He only knew a few stories. And even those they were tales of desert warriors defeating dragons in the forest, or stories of
Sounds like your typical fairy tales.
more or less, yeah. They were interesting maybe the first or second time around, but after about 20 repeats, He seemed to think those stories were the best things ever, though. He was so into them that he'd call the whole brigade over. Even the toys he gave me would all be stories. It was only much later when I realized that the shows were more for him than...
What an interesting guy.
Yeah, I've always... Until I grew up. Looting, blackmail, no one in the brigade was any kind of hero. Instead, my father and his cronies were more... Did they really think that as long as they didn't do any of that stuff right in front of me, I would never know?
I think I can understand your feelings. The difference between
Yeah, but don't worry, my lady. It's all water under the bridge to me now. I had a huge argument with my father, and I'm not investigating them due to any bitter feelings.
I see. But isn't this
It is, but every mercenary lives life on the...
That may be true, but it'll...
Well, now you get why I didn't want to share.
What should we do?
Huh? But there's no need for you to get caught up in this mess, too.
Well, she's super tough, so if she went into the desert with you, then Paimon bets the problem would be...
I'm inclined to agree. I'll wait for news from you in the city until...
I'm honored that you care. All right, then let's get moving. Our first stop will be Caravan Rebot.
Hey, Dia, you're back. Are these two friends of yours? Likewise. There's no need to be so formal with us. Anyway, since we've got a newcomer, let me fill you in on what the Khan al-Akmar. They've become extremely aggressive. They even attack other relics brigades.
Even the most ferocious beasts still protect their own.
That's right. Once they've collected enough loot off the other mercenaries, they sell it off to a different brigade, or turn to merchants on a portion of their profits is immediately exchanged for more food and weaponry to be used in their next violent...
That's terrible.
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder why they're so desperate for Mora. A few days ago, Isham and I trailed them for a while, and even disguised ourselves as merchants to conduct trade with them. we were able to learn a few things from the exchange. Rather than saying they're out to plunder and hoard Mora, it'd probably be more accurate to say that they're experiencing an internal power.
Wait, a power struggle?
You heard me right. The vast majority of their victims are mercenaries from the other brigades of Deshret's relics. If their only goal was Mora, they could have gone after anybody. The targeted nature of their attacks points to a power struggle between the different brigades within the relics. That's the only plausible explanation. Unfortunately, we weren't able to find out anything more specific. It seems they're also trying to keep things under wraps. Oh, one last thing we discovered was that over the past few years, as Dakan al-Ahmar became more and more active, Deshret's relics as a whole became a lot weaker.
Sounds mighty strange to me, too. Haroon, you can leave the rest of the investigation to us. Gotta say, though, I didn't expect you to go on a whole undercover mission during the few days I was gone. Sounds like you were really...
Nah, it was nothing. We're just as concerned about the situation as you are. The Khan al-Ahmar is your father's crew, after all.
What he said. Besides, Dia, haven't you done more dangerous things than all of us combined?
Yeah. And while they went to talk with Dakan al-Ahmar, any survivors of the attack were already long gone. There was nothing...
Ah, Hisham and Khalaf. You're here...
We rushed over as soon as we saw you come into Caravan Ribat. Although this new friend of yours looks a little green behind the ears, I'm sensing a special vibe from her. Now that we know you'll have a capable partner with you, we can also...
Hey, what about Paimon? Feel like...
Oh, you're also planning to tag along with them?
Of course! Paimon is the Traveler's...
Oh, in that case...
Don't underestimate Paimon!
Don't worry about her. She may look tiny and helpless, but she's been through just as many battles as the Traveler here. Even if she had only survived on sheer luck, then that alone would still make her quite formidable.
I had no idea. I guess I shouldn't...
Oh, one other thing, Dia. When you're free, why don't you update the deputy about your upcoming skip? We held another recruitment event a few days ago, but everyone only came to see the Flame Main. You weren't around at the time, so people were pretty disappointed to only find our crew of rough, unkempt guys. The deputy put a lot of effort into the event, but it was basically for nothing. Only a few people chose to stay, and that really got to him.
Sorry to hear that. I'll be sure to bring him some great liquor next time.
Gotta admit, I can understand their disappointment, though. You're our brigade's main selling point, after all. Now, if only the deputy could figure out a way to bring a few more smoking hot members into our rank.
Keep dreaming. Remember the last time I invited a couple gals into the brigade? You all just froze up with your mouths gaping like a bunch of scarecrows. The awkward silence and weird expressions left quite the impression on them. They were originally interested in joining us, but after that, they both told...
Hey, didn't we agree to never bring that up again?
Huh? Wait, are you serious?
I don't think you were part of the brigade yet.
Are you kidding me? I missed a once-in-a-lifetime moment like that, and you weren't even gonna tell me?
All right. We can tell...
Hey, don't you try to change the subject. You and Hisham get your butts over here and...
Are they? Oh,
More or less. There aren't many rules or graces when it comes to mercenary. If someone starts getting under your skin, you just yell right back at them. And if that doesn't put an end to it, but we also don't tend to take many things too seriously. Being direct and getting it all out of your system, that's also why I never spare their feelings when I talk to them. If I want to laugh, I'll laugh. Hey, knuckleheads, can you at least tell me the rest of the intel before you go back?
Yeah, you hear her, Holloff? Told you we gotta focus on the investigation first. I drew up a map. Right here is the spot. There you'll find the merchant caravan responsible for getting rid of Dakan. All you gotta do is wait and ambush them in the evening.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Be sure to pass my regards to
Will do. You stay safe.
Time to go.
This should be the place. It's gonna come down to a fight one way or another.
No need to worry.
I'm not worried about that. Ah, here they come. You ready? Let's not give them a chance.
Time to act.
That's close enough, alien.
Power.
The wind knows me. As one with wind and cloud.
Cross
Do you want this?
You're the flame.
Good. That saves me an introduction. All right, time for a little talk. Are you buddies with...
You know the code of being a mercenary just like everyone else. The first rule is to never divulge key information about...
That might have worked on an amateur, but I know you're just looking to protect your... Think about it, though. What's your reputation worth if you won't have the other tools you need to succeed in this line of work? Tools, you've got 5 seconds. You might want to think twice about how much your employer's information is worth to you.
Whoa!
I'm not joking around. We can do 2 seconds.
I'll save you the
Huh? Are you crazy? He tried to bite off his own tongue. Quick, search the area for any first aid supply. I definitely didn't expect him to go that far. Thankfully, the wound wasn't too deep, and he just passed out from the pain.
But why would he be...
I just wanted to test his mettle. You can get a lot of mercenaries to talk just by threatening them. I didn't expect him to be willing to go through so much pain just to deny...
Well, he's out cold for now. We could wait for him to wake...
Yeah, don't worry about it. It'll be a waste of time to interrogate him again after that. There are lots of goods around here. Let's search...
We found a piece of paper with a bunch of names on it. Maybe...
Let me take a look. Yep. I see an entry for Dakana Lakmar right here. Kusela, Idrisi, Bashar, and Takriti. All familiar names. This caravan is just... That person will then pack the caravan full of necessary... Wait, why is there no Mora value recorded for the final
Nope.
Yeah. Every transaction before the last one was marked with an exact amount of Mora, but the final one, where they paid for everything to be brought back to the desert, was simply marked as delivered. Perhaps. But they couldn't have known how much they would make off selling the loot. Anyway, the next part's the records of the goods themselves. There are a lot of entries. Huh?
What's wrong?
Shazaman Homayani?
Homayani? You mean Junior's... Could it just...
I'd be surprised to find someone with the exact same first and last name. Shazaman Homayani is Dunyarzad's father, and the head of... Just what the heck is going on here? I'm sorry, you're right. I'll consider what we found, but what this piece of paper confirms is that the Homayani family has been providing goods to Dakana Lakmar.
What if the Homayanis have been kept in the dark and don't know they've been traded?
That's a possibility, but if that was the case, why is this caravan specifically named Shazaman as their person of contact? They could have just as easily bought goods such as food and medicine directly from Caravan Ribat or Port Ormos. Yeah, funding violence and looting. The brigade gets the goods, and he is paid the proceeds from the sale of the loot.
But why would he do something like this?
I honestly have no idea. I've been to their estate many times, and I've never known. The only potentially large expenditure I could think of would be the treatment costs for Dunyarzad's Elazar. Maybe they borrowed a lot of Mora in the past, but that's still just a speculation. I don't think the Master would stoop so low to make Mora. You're probably right. I know my lady's personality, and she wouldn't deliberately—
But what should we do now? All we found is just another mystery.
If you ask me, we already have— I'm not worried. It's too early to make a verdict yet. Let's go find my lady again. We'll tell her everything. If we're lucky, we can not only figure out the mystery of this paper, but also follow the trail.
Dia, are you sure this is the best decision? What if instead of getting the help we need, we just end up revealing—
I've considered that possibility. But even still, I want to tell— She showed genuine concern for me when we first brought up the topic. I can't That's not how I deal with people.
You're right. Paimon wants to trust Dia.
Yeah.
Huh?
We're back, my lady.
Oh, you're back a lot sooner than I expected. You mustn't have run in.
Actually, we're still investigating.
I see. The clues you found have led you back here, in the city?
Something like that.
You all look a little dispirited. Why don't you discuss it with me? Maybe I'll be able—
It's okay, my lady. It's not so much about me being upset with my father or anything like that.
So something is wrong. Even the Traveler, on any other day, Paimon would have already waved to me with a smile and shouted, "Junior's up!" So tell—
My lady, please prepare yourself for what we're going to tell you next. It concerns the Master.
The Master? Okay, I understand. My father has been supplying goods to Dakan al-Akmar?
Yeah, it makes— I've never doubted the Master's integrity, so I'm having a real hard time rationalizing how he could ever support an infamous brigade like them. Maybe he's not actually aware of the full story and just stumbled into the deal by accident.
I can't help but agree with the Traveler.
Huh? You mean you feel the same way, Dunyarzad?
Thank you for sharing all this information with— Since you've told me everything you know, I should also tell you about— In the past, I thought that my father hired a bodyguard for me so that I wouldn't run away and get lost. However, there are plenty of capable mercenaries in the Corps of 30. Why did my father go out of his way to hire Dia?
About that. Well, the Homayanis really needed bodyguards, so they reached out to the Blazing Beasts. Later, the Master told me that I was one of the best mercenaries he'd ever seen, and that I should stick around to become one of his He offered me a pile of Mora, so I just—
Well, but that didn't really answer my question. Just think about it. Why did my father specifically reach out to the Blazing Beasts?
Maybe the Corps of 30 just didn't have anyone available, or maybe someone recommended us. I think I get what you're saying. You think none of this was a coincidence.
Precisely. At first glance, nothing seems strange or out of place. But there are many parts of the story that don't actually make any sense. If my father had always been in contact with Dakan al-Akmar, then it would make sense for him to bring Dia into her house.
You mean the goal all along was to get Dia to be your bodyguard?
No, that's too much of a stretch. I cut all ties with my father a long time ago. He has no control over my life anymore.
But that still doesn't rule out the possibility that your father has still been trying to influence your life without you knowing.
So, the Master was not likely an innocent victim in all of this?
Sorry we put all this on you so suddenly.
It's okay, Paimon. I should actually be thanking you. Regardless of his reasons, if my father has truly been funding a violent group of mercenaries...
But is that really the right thing to do? My father has committed many atrocities and deserves all the punishment that he has coming to him. I have zero sympathy for him. You may call me an ungrateful child, but my feelings will remain the same. However, the Homayani family has treated me with nothing. If we decide to investigate this further, we could end up implicating the entire Homayani family. I would be biting the hand that's fed me over all these years.
Tia.
It's all right, Dia. If anyone were to ask, you could always just say that I'm the one who instructed you to get to the bottom of this.
You don't have to do that, my lady. I'm not conflicted because I'm afraid of taking responsibility. Besides, you're the one we should all be worried about right now.
Hey, it's still too early to give up hope. What was the thing about friendship again? Right, yeah, trust! Besides, there's no point on getting all riled up before we've confirmed all the facts.
Thank you, everyone. That makes a lot of sense. In which case, my lady...
Sure thing.
Usual place?
Thank you for coming, sir. Please allow me to introduce these two. This is the
Yes, my daughter. But we may skip all the pleasantries for now. What is the important...
Well, we wanted to bring this transaction record to your attention. There's something on this record that we're...
So, that's what you found? Huh.
If you wouldn't mind, we'd like an explanation.
Well, it's a long and difficult story. And to be perfectly honest, what I do know, though, dear, is that the truth will bring you no solace. If anything, it will likely cause you a
Wait, me?
Yes, I understand perfectly why you came to see me. And I am touched by your collective commitment to do the right thing. But knowledge always comes at a price. And sometimes, as they say, ignorance is bliss. Your father, Kusela, and I both believed that. Of course, you have the right to seek and learn the truth, but I must warn you, the facts of this matter may reduce everything you've built for yourself into sand, blowing in the wind. If you must proceed, then Kusela's heartfelt efforts will also fade into the wind like a fleeting mirage.
His heartfelt efforts? I'm sorry, I've made it this far in life without a single drop of my father. I have my own ideals and ways of looking at the world, as well as people and causes that I've chosen to cherish and fight for. None of these things have any... I came here today to support you as the head of the Homayani family. No warning...
I understand. Then let me tell you a little story. Our family once needed to take a trip to the desert when Dunyarzad was just a baby. Along the way, we were attacked by bandits. They had superior numbers and quickly overpowered our bodyguards. When all seemed lost, a group of passerby Eremites lent us their support. Those Eremites were Kusela's brigade, Dekan al-Ahmar. Kusela's men told me that the attackers were Eremite mercenaries, just like themselves. I was shocked. Why would Dekan al-Ahmar go so far to save us and not spare the fellow Kusela was grinning and walked over to play with baby Dunyarzad. She was startled by his unfamiliar face and nearly started crying.
Really?
He said that he had no particular reason to help us. He just took pity on us because he had a daughter about the same age. We started talking about our children, and I sensed that he was to repay his kindness. I hired his brigade to help out at our estate for a time, and
So, that's what happened.
it was many years before I saw him again. I almost didn't recognize him the next time he came knocking on my door. The man I knew to be strong and healthy had been reduced to a shell of himself.
So, what happened to him? He was perfectly fine when I left the brigade.
I'm not too sure myself. The only thing that didn't change was his cheery disposition. He said there was absolutely nothing to worry about and that he had gotten into a fight. That was all. He then suddenly asked me if Dunyarzad, now that she had grown, would need a bodyguard of her own. At the time, Dunyarzad was going through a particularly severe bout of her Elazar. There was no need for her to have a bodyguard when she could barely leave the house. But he kept coming back to the topic. Come on, it never hurts to be safe. How do you know a bodyguard won't come in handy one day? I was completely lost at first, until he recommended the Blazing Beasts. And
So he was the one who recommended Dia to...
indeed, he didn't say it out loud, but it was clear that he saw Deshret's relics as an evil group who would eventually corrupt every member in their ranks. He was already beyond redemption, but he hoped that he would be able to detach his daughter from the vicious world of mercenary life. If Dia could stay in my house and keep working as a bodyguard, then gradually her affinity for the desert would decrease, and she'd be able to leave her previous life behind.
And that's why you offered her such generous...
Yes, but not just because of that. From the moment that he asked me for that favor, I also began to... And that's also why I tried to persuade you to stay when you asked for permission to leave. I was willing to spend however much it took. Kusela saved my daughter and I all those years ago in the desert. I could never refuse him entrusting his daughter to me.
He was always like that, acting like he's oh so...
Kusela said that he'd reimburse me for a portion of Dia's fees. I refused to take any mora from him, but he'd always sent me funds anyway. Eventually, I just accepted them as a token of his gratitude. And that went on for a while until I received another letter from him a few years. The letter contained a request to help him buy food.
Wait! Isn't that around the time that Dekano Akhmar started becoming more aggressive?
That's right. When I started to hear some nasty rumors, I became wary. But by then, he was no longer receptive to my requests to talk. If I had to guess, it's probably because he doesn't want to put Dia at risk. That thought occurred to me as well. I figured that he probably came to me for help because he had nobody else to turn to. After some deliberation, I decided to send him some food and medicine. I turned down all his requests for explosives and weaponry. I am aware that even such a reduced gesture of support could lead to others coming to harm, but in the end, it probably was the wrong decision. I plugged my ears to the rumors and just chose a solution that made me...
If you can, please tell me where he is now. None of the things he's doing right now make any sense if he's just trying to keep me from getting tanked. If all he wants to do is steer clear of me, then maybe he shouldn't have brought me into this world in the first...
Oh no, Dia...
I'm just angry because I can't wrap my head around any of his actions. Another way? I don't know. I knew him, and he was nothing more than a childish brute. I can't understand what's going through his head, but I guess you do have a point. We haven't uncovered the whole truth.
I'll do my best to help. Of course, I don't know Kusela. However, he's responsible. I've heard.
Understood.
I'll stay and be with my father here. My father hasn't... I feel like...
Yes. It's time to...
know what you've been up to. Smuggling weapons to violent brigades in the desert while working for the Corps.
Shh! Keep your voice down. How do you know? Come with me. We should take this elsewhere. I'll be happy to talk things over once we're somewhere private. This place should do. All right. Back to my...
Don't worry about that for now. You know what kind of punishment you'll face once we report you to the Corps, I assume.
Wait. There's no need to jump the gun. Let's talk this out. What do you...
So what's in it for you anyway, Mora?
Well, I was a little tight on money at the time, and Kusela took good care of me in the past. I weighed it in my mind, and I couldn't find a reason to turn the opportunity down. I wouldn't only be helping my benefactor, but I could also make some quick Mora.
Let me tell you how it is. We're investigating Khan al-Akmar, and we're gonna put an end to their operation. If you provide some help for us, then we might just put in a good word later to reduce the terms of your punishment.
Hey, why don't we discuss this a little first? Listen, I made quite a bit of Mora from my last run. You just...
Shut it. My patience is running out. You should know when a mercenary is after something other than money.
All right, sheesh. But you gotta promise you'll put in some nice words for me later. They're always on the move. Here's the spot they were at the last time I made my delivery to the desert. Feel free to go have a look. I'm just telling you though, it's not on me if they're not there anymore.
Sure. And then you can forget about any nice words from us.
Hey, come on. Now you're just being unreasonable.
Really? And how do I know you're not leading us straight into a trap? Don't forget, you're the one with no bargaining chips.
All right, I get it. Why don't you go take a look, and if they're not there anymore, I'll try to figure out something else for you.
Now that's more like it. Let's move. And as for you... Seems like we're in luck. Let's go. We'll finally get to the bottom of this ourselves. I'm here to see Kusela. Tell him to get out here.
Tia, why are you here?